Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Unique. This is your host, Dr. Mrs. Akudo Ehirim. Welcome to today's episode. Last time we talked about abuse, but today we're going to move it a little bit further. And here with me in the studio is Mrs. Delina Brooker. She's an author, she's a singer, she's a wife, and she's a mom. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Like we said in the last episode of abuse, we talked about sexual abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse. What are the signs of abuse? Who do you talk to? Who do you call? It is high time we begin to talk about abuse.
Yes.
Like we said in the last episode, tell us something a little bit from what you gathered from the last episode.
That abuse is something that people don't want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You can be very ashamed of it and think that you are the only one that's going through it, but you're absolutely not the only one, and your next door neighbor could be going through the same thing, and you just don't know because people don't talk about it. So we need to open up that conversation and start talking about things and healing each other, and just, you can't fix what you don't know.
Exactly. And that is the reason why they wrote this book. Revealing and Healing is the story of 3 women that came together to talk about their abuse. They talked about physical, sexual, emotional, verbal, mental, all in this book. And you can get this book on her website. She also has a CD, a healing CD from the book. You can get these 2 at her website.
Yes.
Now, today's topic is life after abuse. You have been abused.
Yes.
As a child,
Yes.
as a mom, as a lady, as a wife. Now it's done, it's over. How do you pick up your life?
I don't think that it's necessarily ever done and over, because after you've been abused, no matter what type of abuse it is, it's something that's always in the back of your head, in the back of your mind. And even though you can deal and still work through it, you are always, it changes who you are as a person. I'm not the same person who I was or would have been had I not been abused. There's things that I look for with dealing with anybody, but especially my children. So I'm always looking for certain signs of things that abusers do. So like with child abuse, child molestation, the abuser seems to have this certain persona in the public, but their personal lives are so overly quiet, and they have this distance that you can't come to for their personal life. But like, for instance, my father was he was a bishop at the church.
At the church.
And an outstanding member of the community, and a volunteer, and an usher, and he was just all
So he was involved.
wonderful things that he is the perfect gentleman all the time. He's the one who opens the door for you, holds the umbrella, will lay down the coat, let you walk across the puddle like that. He is an absolute gentleman. But on the other side of that, he was abusing his children.
He was abusing his children.
So I just look for
the signs.
The signs of, and I didn't even realize it while I was going through it, but I've had conversations with my aunt, and she told me that there were times when she couldn't come over to the house because he kept such a distance. He would have us go to their house instead of them coming to ours. So it's kind of like, oh, I didn't know that was going on, but just off of what I had known about child abuse, it was like, well, that makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense. And you see, viewers, like Ms. Delina said, most of the time, these abusers are something different in the community, and they are something different at home. Yes. They are so secretive. Yes. They don't want you to come close because they have a secret they are hiding. And you cannot go out there and see an abuser with, I'm an abuser. Yes. So most of the time, the people you trust, and that is why abuse is normally done by family members. Yes. They are people you trust. Yes. People you think will never hurt you. Your father, your grandfather, your mother, your auntie, your sister. People that you trust and you think, I'm safe with these people. And that's their way in. Yes. That's how they get in. For me, that's how they abuse you.
The people who were supposed to be protecting me.
Exactly. You see, for you, it was people that were supposed, people you trusted to protect you. They were the ones that were abusing you. And now let's talk about trust issue, because I've heard a lot about trust. People say once you've been abused, you never trust anybody. life after abuse, how do you trust people?
Trust for me is a very hard thing. I already have a hard time trusting anybody with certain things. Certain things I can trust you with, but that's things that aren't detrimental to my life. Like, it wouldn't hurt me or make or break me if something happened within that trust. But I have very, very hard trust issues because the people I was supposed to be able to trust to protect me,
the ones that betrayed you.
They betrayed me. So, for instance, like, even with my husband, I trust him. I had to learn how to trust him just by knowing him, but it's still always in the back of my head. I'm always still looking for something.
Some signs.
For some signs when there hasn't been any there. And rationally in my mind, I know that it's not there. That's not him. But
because of what you went
I don't
through.
want to make that mistake and be like, turn a blind eye and not notice something. You know, I don't want to miss a step.
You don't want to miss a step. Yeah.
So, I mean, I even have a hard time trusting myself, like, is this something I should be doing? Is this the right thing? You know, so it just really,
it affects everything.
It really affects who you are.
Yeah, and another thing about the trust issue, people will always tell you, especially people that have been abused, they will tell you even when there is no sign, like you said, you are still looking for something. Yeah. Because you don't trust what is going on, especially when the people that were supposed to protect you are the ones that abused you. So now, how am I sure this next person won't do the same thing? How am I sure this person? And most of the time, this trust issue begin to affect relationships. What's your opinion on that?
It absolutely does affect relationships. And I can say a testament of mine is in Indianapolis, where I'm from, I had several abusers that were either close or in close proximity.
Okay.
So to me, my rationale, my childhood mentality of it was, oh, this is what men do.
You see?
So that I had a hard time trusting men of saying, oh, I don't want anything else from you. I'm just trying to, you know, like, even from a teacher, like, what is it that you want from me for me to get an A? Yeah. So I just had that mentality.
Because that's all you felt.
That's all I knew. Exactly. That's all I ever knew from being 4 or 5 years old on up. So when I actually moved to Atlanta, and I moved here by myself with my son, he was 4 years old, and I didn't know anybody. And that was it was literally a leap of faith. A leap of faith. And the longer I got here and the more I met people, I saw healthy relationships. I saw men and women being in relationships, which I hadn't seen. I saw men being with their children, girls and boys, and interacting and being involved. And
it was clean.
It was clean. I had to eventually learn that even though I knew all men weren't like that, it hadn't been proven to me in my life that all men weren't like that. So moving to Atlanta and just having the experience outside of my bubble that I was in,
that you were living in,
it really helped me to see, okay, I can trust somebody. All people aren't like this. And, you know, so that helped me open up just to become my own woman, just to say, you know, I can still look out for things, but
I have
don't
to
make
trust
something out of nothing.
Yeah, because, you know, even this issue of relationship, most women that were abused or most men that were abused, they get into relationships and they never trust anybody. Yes. And they begin to think there is no healthy relationship out there. And it affects the way they are in a relationship. Yes. It affects, and most of the time, people will always tell you, the next person that comes after the abuse is the one that pays the price of the former relationship. What do you have to say about that?
Because it's, I mean, it makes sense in a crazy kind of way, but it's just like a rebound girl. So you never take the rebound girl seriously because that's the rebound girl. It's the same thing. Like, so if I was just abused in the next relationship, whether it's domestic violence or whatever, now I'm going to give it to you because now I'm in a totally different mode. I wasn't in fight mode before, but now I'm in this mode now. So I'm going to let you have what I should let the last relationship have.
Exactly. Because I was speaking to a lady, and the lady was telling me, she said in her first relationship, she was dating a guy. This guy cheated on her for 5 years they were together. Verbally, physically, emotionally, mentally abused her. So when she came out of the relationship, it took her another 3 years before she could get into another relationship. But she said she was so paranoid. Yes. She checked this guy's phone like 10 times a day. She called the office to make sure he's at work. She would smell his clothes. She did all kinds of crazy stuff because she said, I couldn't help myself because I don't want to be used the second time. You know I was used the first time, and I don't want history to repeat itself.
I think they say that it takes 60 or 90 days to change, whether it's an eating habit or
a pattern,
a pattern like
in your
that.
life.
So if she went through that for 5 years,
yes,
that's so embedded in
her.
You. It's going to take even longer to get out of that.
You know, and the good thing about it, viewers, I want you to know, is that this particular lady I'm talking about, finally, she met this guy. And most guys, not every guy out there is bad. Most of them are good.
Yes.
And this guy stood by her. Despite some days, the guy will say, he will come, today is no boyfriend day. Get out. And then the next day, she's all lovey and wants him to come in. But he said he was there. He stayed because he knew her story.
Yes.
And he stayed and kept showing her, you can trust me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here. And finally, they are married. They have 3 children. You know, but she said, even up till today, it is still at the back of my mind. You know, I know he's not that kind of a man.
Right.
I know he will not leave me. We've been married for 12 years. But every single day, there is that part of me that still says, who knows?
Yes.
Maybe he might walk away.
Yes.
Maybe he might walk away. So in that case, you know, what do you have to say about, what about in relationships with women? Maybe they were abused as children. Now, they're in a relationship, they are married, and they have children. What do you think about the relationship between their husbands and their little daughters?
Well, I think that's why it's so important to speak up.
Exactly.
And say what it is. Because if you're holding that in, and if he had not known her story, he would have thought she was some crazy woman.
Crazy woman, that's true.
Psycho, maniacal, and everything else. But because he knew, he could have more empathy for her to know exactly where she was coming from. A lot of people hold stuff in forever for no reason.
For no reason.
It's more room out than in. So even with telling it, like my husband knows how to interact with our children because I've told him, this is what I've gone through. This will trigger me.
Because that will trigger you.
Yeah, exactly. So
that will bring back memories.
Exactly. So if I'm thinking something's up, or you might wake up, I might be gone. You know, like there's no telling. Like so, I need for certain things, especially dealing with our children, to be this, that, and the other, so I don't have to second guess.
Yes, exactly.
Second guess anything
because
that's
you
going
don't
on.
want to be ever put in that situation.
Exactly.
Exactly. And another thing, viewers, we want to tell you guys too is speak up.
Yes.
That's what we said in the last show. Speak up. You can't hold it in. You can't be married to a guy or dating a guy and you don't want to share this kind of
It's part of you.
It's part of you.
It's part of you.
Because like you said in the beginning, this abuse changes who you are. It changes who you would have been.
Yes.
But you have to be open. You have to be able to tell whoever is your partner, hey, this is what I went through. If you want to stay, you have to stay. If you don't want to stay, it's better you go.
Right.
But you have to know, so that, because like some people will say, you don't know, if you don't know my history, you don't know my story, so you can't understand why I'm acting the way I'm acting. Most of the time, women and men act the way they act because of their history.
Exactly.
Because of the story behind the person. So you have to be able to speak up.
Yes.
Tell people about it. We shouldn't be ashamed.
You can't be ashamed because, like you said, that is part of who you are.
Exactly.
And if you're going to be in a committed relationship, that person's supposed to love you for who you are.
Regardless.
And that doesn't make you a bad person, that you went through this and these are your feelings. Your feelings are your feelings. You have the right to feel however you want to feel about whatever. Whether it's right or wrong, you feel that way, and it is what it is. So they need to, if they truly love you, they'll try to work with you and help you through it and understand this is why she's going the way that she is. Like my husband, for instance, he didn't grow up with his father. So he is a very nurturing father.
He's very nurturing.
Because of what he didn't get. It drives me crazy because I'm like, it's not that deep. They've always had a mother, father in the household, but I understand it.
Yeah, we understand.
And so I let him
I
let him be.
Exactly.
Love and nurture on the kids. That takes a load off of me or whatever, but I don't want to take that from him because he's trying to give them it's
what
just,
he, you know.
Exactly.
And you know, the goal of every parent, we always say we want your child to be greater than you.
Exactly.
So if when I was growing up, I didn't have a father figure, I want to be a good father to my children because I want to make sure they get everything I think I didn't get.
Yes.
Just like women too. Some women, I've met a lot of women that will tell you, I don't drink. And you ask Why? They say because my mom was a drunk.
Yes.
And she was a very bad mom. So because of the drinking, I don't know whether I can be able to control it, so I don't drink at all.
Exactly.
You know, some people will tell you, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs because my father was very abusive whenever he was high, and this is it for me. So most people, you have to understand their stories.
Well, that's the beauty of them speaking up about it.
Exactly.
Because then you understand why they are
you
the way
understand
that they are.
because, like you said before, if you don't say anything, your husband will think something is wrong with you.
Exactly.
Who is this lady that checks my phone 50 times a day? Something is definitely wrong with her. But if he understands, okay, this lady had a lot of trust issues in the past, I understand, but hey, I'm not doing this. You have to be able to trust me.
And if you're up on the up and up anyway and not doing anything, they're checking your phone. They're not going to find anything.
They're not going to find anything, so don't be scared, right?
Right, so it is what it is.
It is what it is. And another thing I wanted us to talk about is breaking the cycle. Most times, like we said in the last episode, most abusers or abused people turn out to be abusers themselves.
Yes.
Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's a lie. So what do you have to say about it? Is it true? Is it a lie? Is it, you know?
I don't think it's necessarily a lie. It's more of we mimic what we see. And there are some instances where you choose not to be that. Exactly. And it may be more work for you to not do that. But you always have a choice of how you're going to act. But I think the key thing in breaking the cycle is, number one, speaking up and talking about it.
Exactly.
And showing models of something different. So like I said, when I moved to Atlanta, I saw healthy relationships.
Everything was
different.
never,
even if I had seen it in Indianapolis, I wasn't realizing that I was seeing it because everything was so tainted to me, in my experience. So then when I was out of the bubble, I'm down here by myself. It was a totally new experience, and I'm like, oh.
That's something different.
It's something different. And I didn't have people in my ear saying this, you know, echoing what's already in the back of my mind, reinforcing it further, that, okay, well, there are actually, so I think that if you show other models, so if you don't have a man in the household, have an uncle, have a mentor, a big brother, you know, there's lots of mentoring programs out there
to help
you show this is exactly how a man should act. This is how a lady should act.
Exactly.
This is how you should act if, you know, people have gone through everything. Nothing is new under the sun.
Nothing is new under the sun.
So there's somebody who can help you get through or whatever be a model to whatever else that you're going through.
And like you said about modeling too, you know, most of the time too, like they say, birds of the same feather flock together. When you are around people, everybody is being abused.
Yes.
All you see is abuse. So sometimes as a child, you begin to think, maybe this is the only thing out there.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's okay, like you said earlier on. Okay, you're a student. You want to find out from your teacher, what do I need to do to get an A? You go to the store, what do I need to do to get that dress? Now, everything to you is sexual because that's all you have seen. So you need to see something else different.
Right.
See an alternative. For you, it took you coming to Atlanta. Then you saw that, okay, these people, fathers and daughters are playing and having fun in a positive way.
Yes.
There is nothing negative about it. So really, there is hope out there. And audience, I want to tell you guys, there is hope out there.
Absolutely.
There is hope, but you need to speak. You need to talk to somebody about it. Bottling it all in doesn't help. It's not healthy for you. You have to tell people what you're going through. You don't have to tell everybody. Tell trusted friends. You don't want to tell everybody, and then at the end of the day, your story is all over the world.
Right.
People are talking about it, but nobody is offering you help.
Yes.
Talk to people that will help you.
There's people that are willing to help.
There are people that will help you.
For free.
For free. You have churches. Get yourself involved in a church. Get a trusted friend. Talk to somebody. There are so many abuse lines you can call. Tell somebody what is going on. This is the 21st century.
Yes.
People should not be dying in silence anymore. We should be able to come out and talk about it and say, hey, this happened to me, but I'm going to make a difference.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm going to make a difference. You said something the last time, your son, you said you had your son when you were 16?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. How did you deal with motherhood at a young age?
He actually made me grow up. I was pregnant at 15 and I had him at 16. And I didn't have a father or a father figure or anybody to show me different. My mother was a single mother. She was in school full-time, working full-time. I was the oldest child in the house. My older siblings had already moved out.
Moved out.
So I was the one in charge.
Mm.
But I had him. I was scared out of my mind. Like
I
thought my mother was going to kill me in real life. But she didn't, and she was calm. And I didn't even know that she had a teenage pregnancy.
Wow.
And my sister had it was like,
so it was
there was
like
a pattern I didn't even know about, because then I would have rethought all the little grown things that I was doing. But I was scared out of my mind, and I just used to pray all the time, like, if you help me get through it,
I'll change.
I will change. And like, I had an opportunity to go away to college, but I didn't want to go and take him with me by myself.
By yourself.
But I didn't want to leave him and go off and do that either. That wasn't fair to him. So I've always put him first in all of my decisions.
In all your decisions.
And I mean, God is amazing. He gave me the right child for that moment.
For the situation.
He was a very easy child. I had the support of my family and his father's family. I still have that support. And he just made a way for me to be able to do what I needed to do. I've had a job since I was 16.
Wow.
I've always worked. I've always provided, never got assistance of any kind. He made me grow up and do what I had to do. And so I grew up really quick. I grew up really responsible really quick, even though I wasn't responsible before that. Exactly. But it made me really just do what I have to do. I had to think out my life, think out my plans of what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. So he made me hustle. He made me graduate early, not necessarily early, but I finished school.
You finished school. You did
and
what
everything.
you had to do.
I did what I had to do, and always looking for opportunity to better myself because I wanted him to have better.
Okay. And you know one thing, like I want to ask you this question. Do you think because you got counseling, it helped you focus you? Or do you think having the child was what focused you? Because, most people that were in your situation wouldn't have been thinking all this. It's like, let me have the baby, and then I'm going right back and doing whatever I was doing. But it's like something changed.
I think the counseling did help. But I had the counseling probably 8 years prior to all
that. Okay.
All of that. So I was in a totally different space when I got pregnant with him. He actually changed he saved my life.
He saved your life.
He saved my life.
So he's your miracle baby.
He's my miracle baby. He was not planned. I thought about abortion. I found I was further along than what I thought. Of course, as I'm a kid, I don't really know
the difference.
What's going on. Okay. But he actually saved my life, and I'm so glad that I did not go through with the abortion. He just made me grow up really quick, and get serious about life.
Get serious about life. You knew this.
I
now have somebody else that is looking up to me.
He was
somebody
relying on
else
me,
that was depending on me.
Because even though me and his father were together, he didn't have a job. He was in school too. It was
like in school too.
Everything was on me.
Was on you.
Even though they were helping. I'm the mama. I birthed you. I have to come home with you, be up in the middle of the night feeding you. It was on me.
It was on you. Yeah.
So he's the one who changed me and
really
just made me just sit and think, like, not just necessarily how can I survive right now. How can I survive right now and longevity?
And one thing about, like you said, he saved your life. You see, you said you were the one, you were there for him. The family helped.
Yes.
But you see, audience out there, even teenagers, they think having a child is just something easy. It's not.
It's not.
Because most of the time, you guys will lay down together, you have this child, the boy is out there. And you're left, you're the one that wake up to breastfeed, you're the one that change the diaper, and the boy is out there doing whatever he wants to do. So before you do that, you think about it. And in your own case, it matured you. It made you feel like, this boy is depending on me. And I don't want to let him down. I don't want to disappoint him. So you did what you had to do to make sure that he was comfortable.
Even though I was young, I took motherhood
very seriously.
That was more serious than school. It was more serious than not getting in trouble. That was
very serious for you.
There was God and then being a mother. Like that was where I was. And so I was like, okay, I got to stop playing. I went ahead and did school. And even after when I was on maternity leave from school, I was doing homeschool by myself. Then I'd come to school, take the test, just so I can make sure I graduated on time. Because then my school had a program where it was all like a building right next to the school where they would keep children and so they had a program where we could come during lunch break or study hall and be with the kids. And they had counselors there who would help us learn about how our child was developing,
motherhood,
and different things to do and how to interact with them. So I was learning two different major things. I was learning my education, and I was learning how to be a mother and nurture him. So I used every tool that anybody gave me. And I just ran with it, and he'll be graduating this year.
You see? So that's my next question.
Yes.
He's 18 now, right?
Yes.
So what did you tell him? What did you tell him about this cycle? How are you going to break this cycle
I have actually told him that, because actually on my side of the family, teenage pregnancy is that's the cycle, like at least 3 generations back that I know of.
Everybody, okay.
His father's side of the family, same thing.
Okay.
His father, his father's sister, their mother, their grandmother.
So he's like in both families.
Right. So I'm like, okay, look, I know you're a good looking kid. You're very charming.
And he's very cute too.
But this is what you're up against, because nobody told me that.
Nobody told you. You
nobody
see
told
what
me
we're saying about talking about it.
So I'm like, I don't want you to go in blindsided and anything like that. And he didn't mess up my life at all. Like, he made my life better. But
he saved you.
I don't want him to have unnecessary strain that could be avoided just by me saying, hey, look, this is how things go down in our family. Just like I told him, you can't mess around with drugs and alcohol. Because his grandfather, on both sides of his family, are alcoholics.
Okay.
And one is addicted to drugs. So it's like, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You can't even experiment. Like, that's not an option.
That's not an option.
Because you will get caught up. So I just tell him stuff. And then when I wrote the book, and I let him read the book, and I was like, let's talk about it. And he was like, I never knew. He knew hints of certain things.
He wasn't sure.
But he never knew all of that. He was like, I can't believe you went through all that. And he was like, I don't even know how to look at you like my mother now. He was like, you're a totally different person, because he just knows, because mom who lays down the law, mom who's there to support you and band
and be there and love you,
so, exactly. But
yes.
This is why I am the type of mother that I am.
Exactly.
This is why you don't go to everybody's house.
Exactly.
This is why you don't, I don't let you do a lot of things, because I'm trying to keep you from the things. I mean, and I could be wrong and I could be right. But this is why.
But this is why you can understand why mommy acts the way. Mommy won't let you go for a sleepover. Mommy won't tell you you're not going anywhere. This is why.
Right.
And from when you told him about it and he read the book, I know in his mind he now said, okay, I understand.
Yeah, and he did tell me.
I might not agree, but I understand.
And he got it, and he's still a very good kid. And I'm sure there's stuff that goes on in his life that he doesn't tell me. But we have a open door policy.
Relationship.
Don't be afraid to tell
me.
And I told him, everything's not in the book. It couldn't fit it all in. I'm gonna have to write another one. But don't be afraid to just
tell me,
to come to me, because I get it more than you think I do.
More than you think I do. That's true.
And I didn't get that from
anybody.
Not my mother, not even the other people who were helping raise me. I didn't get that. So it's just like, and even if they told me that, I didn't necessarily believe it.
You didn't necessarily believe it. That's true.
Because they weren't telling their personal stories of, and everybody goes through that stage.
And this thing you said about personal story, I've noticed that thing even with we parents. We always want to paint this picture that we are all saints.
Yeah. Oh,
nothing happened. The other day, my daughter was asking me, she said, Mommy, when you were in high school, were you ever bad? I started laughing. And my husband was like, well, what kind of question? Looking at her now, would you ask that kind of question?
Exactly. This is who I am
so
now.
I laughed. I said, yes. I said I was the one that got in trouble every single day. I was the only girl in a seminary school organizing pageants. I was the only girl I went to a seminary school. So it was a church school.
Yes.
I was the only girl in a seminary school organizing pageants, doing beauty shows, and nobody in my school, my principal couldn't understand what kind of a child is this. But they didn't know I had a lot to offer.
Yes.
Nobody understood that. So when I told my kids were like, so Mommy, in case I do that, what would you say? I said, no. That is the reason why I have to find out what's going on and what you're doing is
yes,
because
exactly.
most times it's good to tell your children, you are not a saint.
Yes.
You made a mistake. You did something. Tell them about it, because what you're doing is you're relating and making it real. You can't come and tell a child, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, when you haven't told a child.
Exactly.
Really, when I was a little girl, I never listened.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm telling you to listen is because when I didn't listen, look at what happened to me. And I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made.
You have to think about it. Your children are an extension of you.
Exactly.
So they're an extension of you, and they're an extension of the other party who helped make them.
Exactly.
So you're going to get both of those combined together. And there's things that I see in my children. I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, let me say something right now. Okay, this is what happened. I used to fight all the time in school. I'm not always that nice, you know, like, and I have to give them the quick right, because it's like little snippets. I can see myself.
You can see yourself.
And I can see my husband, you know, in certain things. And I'm like, wow, you need to go talk to him and tell him that, you know.
Exactly.
So it's like,
you have to, because children want that.
Exactly.
Children don't want to look at you like you're perfect. Children want to see that, yes, you did this. Like my son, my last child. My last child is exactly me. He says whatever he wants to say. He's like Shade.
No filter.
No filter. He says how he feels
yes.
it, and sometimes when I look at him, I'll just shake my head and say, oh, Lord, is that how I was when I was a child? Because that was me.
Yes.
I would say whatever, and my mom would be giving me that stare like, you better close your mouth, girl. And you know, but our children are our extension. Yes. They are who we are. It's just that sometimes they are better at it, and they go a little bit to a different level. Okay, so what we have to, I like what you said, audience, parents, talk to your children.
Absolutely.
Don't make it look like the day you were born you became a saint.
Oh,
till today you were a saint. You are still a saint. No, you're not.
Yes.
No,
and nobody's perfect. And
nobody's perfect.
If you set that expectation for your children to be perfect, they're going to always feel like they failed.
Exactly.
Because nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
That's not a realistic expectation.
That's not a realistic expectation. And like I always tell my children, I tell them, I don't want you guys to be the best. I don't pressure you guys to be the best. The only thing I'm asking for is give it your best.
Yes.
Because I know in my heart that once you give it your best, you will automatically be the best.
Exactly.
But let's not think about the end product. Let's just think about the process. Try, give it your best so that at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, you can tell yourself, at least I gave it my best.
Exactly.
And once you give it your best, it has never
That's
failed.
all you can do.
That's all you can do. Give it your best. But don't come and tell me, oh, I gave it my best, when in your heart you know you haven't given it your best.
And giving it your best lets you know what you're good at, what you need help on, and what you just can't do at
all.
What
you can't do at all.
And that's true for everybody. So
yeah, it's true for everybody.
Put your best foot forward.
And I always tell people, even the Bible says that none is perfect. Yes. None is righteous. Except God himself. So we have to let our children know that, hey, we made some mistakes when we were young. Sometimes my children would tell me stuff and I'll tell them, hey, honey, I told that lie. Don't even come to me with that lie. I told that lie to my mom and I was caught, just like I'm catching you right now. You know. So let us always remember to do that. Now, finally, what are you going to say about teenage pregnancy? Talk to the audience.
It's not the end of the world. It feels like it when you're going through it. Really, really, really does feel like it. But it's not the end of the world. There's options. You don't have to have an abortion. There's adoption. Or you can, nowadays, there's so many programs out that you can do it yourself, whether you have the support system that I had or not. But it's totally not the end of the world. There's so many options, and just speak up and talk. Get the help, get the medical stuff that you need or whatever. But it saved my life, and not saying that my way is the only way, but it lets me know now 18 years later, I look back, it doesn't even feel like it's been 18 years. It really does not feel. Exactly. It feels like he was just 4 years old the other day, and I'm like, come on, boy, let's go. We got to go to class. You know, I'm going to class, he's going to class.
Exactly.
And so the time, when you're looking at it from the beginning, it seems like it's forever. But I'm about to send this kid to college.
Exactly.
Like, he's in line for scholarships now. So it's like, okay, wow. That was another learning experience. So, you know, you should be careful beforehand. Talk beforehand, but it's not the end of the world.
If it happens, you know,
exactly. God does not make mistakes.
God doesn't make mistakes.
He does not make mistakes.
If it happens, then move on.
Yes.
I don't believe in self-pity. I don't believe in sitting down and crying over spilled milk. The milk is already spilled. There's nothing we can do about it. Only thing we can do is to clean it and move on.
And you don't want your child to fester while they're in your womb with all of that emotion, because that will affect them.
That will affect you
also.
Exactly.
So I'm not saying you have to be the happiest person that you are a teenage mother, but embrace a new life. That's a gift. Some people cannot have babies.
Exactly.
And strive to have that. So just embrace it and put on your big girl underwear and do what you have to do.
Exactly. And you see, like we always say, like you just said, do everything to make sure you don't get there.
Yes.
But once you are there, don't kill yourself about it.
Exactly.
Don't commit suicide about it. Don't make your life a living hell because of it. And then don't bring this innocent child into the world and make this child miserable. This child didn't ask you to bring him or her into this world. You decided this all by yourself.
Yes.
So you can't, whatever decision you make is not going to affect this little boy or this little girl. Move on. Get up and let us move on. Talk about it. This is America. There are so many things you can do. I help out there.
Yes.
Go out and get it. It's time we begin to go out and fend for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Don't just sit down and cry. It happened to me. I know it happened to you.
You're not the only one.
It happened to you, Delina. Look at you. You are an author. You are a singer. You are a wonderful mom. You are a wife.
Yes.
You are doing it. And you are doing it despite everything.
Yes.
Regardless, you are still doing it. And that's why I brought her on the show, audience. I want you guys to see that this is not the end of the world. This is not the end of the world. If she can do it, it should be a challenge to you. If she can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. There are 3 of you that wrote the book. If all of you can do it, why can't I do it? I'm not different.
This is nothing new.
It's nothing new. There is a reason. I strongly believe that every one of us have a purpose. There is a reason why you came. Abuse or no abuse, there is a reason.
Right.
And it's high time we step up and find out that reason. And finally, say something about relationship. What do you have an advice for the audience on relationship after abuse?
Just speak up. Say how you feel. Don't hold your feelings in. Explain to whoever you're in a relationship with of this is why you're feeling this way, even if you don't understand fully exactly why. You may need to get counseling. Get counseling separately and together. But don't be afraid to speak up because they can't love you if they don't know you. Let them know you so they can.
Let them know you. Because it has to be whole you.
Exactly.
You can't give them half of you.
Don't give them the goody-goody smiley part.
Exactly.
Give them the goody-goody and the bad side.
Exactly. Give them the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly.
If you love me, you will take the good, the bad, and the ugly. You will love all me. Don't come and tell them, oh, I don't want to scare him away.
Right.
And I always tell people, you don't want to scare him away and you lie or hold back some part of you, he will eventually get to meet the other part of you. Then what happens? He will still leave. So if he wants to leave, he better leave now that you are in the beginning of the relationship so you can deal with
Holding
it and
in
move
is a
on.
lie.
Exactly.
You're living a lie.
You're living a lie. But if he wants to leave, let him leave. And then you pick up your life and maybe God will bring somebody else into your life. But if you lie and hold it and hide it, and then 5 years, 2 children are involved, and now he said, you lied to me, girl, and he's leaving. Now, who do you blame? Nobody. And another thing I will add about relationship, audience, please, 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 I know it's so hard, but don't let Peter pay the price of Paul. Let us not rob Peter to pay Paul. It's not this guy's fault. It's not this woman's fault that you were lied to, you were abused in your other relationship. Please, don't make him pay for somebody else's mistake. And we all do this. We all do this indirectly and directly. We don't even know when we do it. Please let us be conscious of it.
Everybody deserves a clean slate.
Everybody deserves a clean slate. As long as he's there, give him a chance. Give him a chance until he begins to prove he is like the other one. Then it's time for you to go.
But then you need to look and see what cycles you're letting repeat themselves too. Then.
Exactly.
If you keep picking the same bad person.
Because that's one thing too. You know, that's one thing people do too. Most of the time, because most women maybe that grew up in an abusive relationship, maybe their father and their mom were in a domestic violence situation, majority of the time they tend to attract men that also beat them up. I don't know why.
Because they're comfortable with it.
Because that's maybe that's
the norm for them.
And I talked to this lady. She told me that she fights with her husband, but that she likes the makeup sex.
Oh yeah.
She said, "Oh, it feels so good." I'm like,
crazy.
You let somebody hit you only for you to do the makeup sex? It doesn't make any sense to me. But she was trying to explain to me that's how her mom lived. So most of the time, that's what we do.
That's what was modeled to her.
Exactly. So please, 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 do something different. There are so many alternatives out there. If your father was hitting your mom as a child, you were scared, you were hiding in the closet, you didn't like that, why would you let somebody else do the same thing to you? And then your children are now the ones hiding in the closet.
Love does not hurt.
It doesn't hurt. We said it in the last show. Love doesn't hurt.
Love does not hurt.
If it has to hurt,
That's not love.
That's not love.
No, you can keep your love. Hurt yourself. Love your own self.
And finally, audience, this is the end of the show. It has been wonderful talking to you, Delina.
Thank you for having me back.
Guys, there is life after abuse.
Absolutely.
No matter what you have gone through, no matter what kind of abuse it is, physical, emotional, mental, verbal, you can still live.
Yes.
You can still live. If you believe that you are a child of God, then you know that God is a God of a second chance. If it happened to you, God is going to give you another chance.
Yes.
God is going to make a way where there seems to be no way. But you have to believe. It's all about faith. You have to believe that I am worth more than this.
Yes.
Remember what we said in the last show. People value you the way you value yourself.
You have to love yourself.
People love you the way you love yourself. If you don't love yourself, nobody will love you. But you have to let people know that, hey, this is me. Look at what I went through. I don't want it ever to happen in my life anymore, and I'm going to do things to make sure it doesn't happen to me or my children. Or my children. Any final thought before we leave?
No, just thank you for having me back. Remember to love yourself and be the model that you will want somebody to model to you for your children. Exactly.
And remember, audience, her CD, her book, you'll find it on her website.
lionessvisions.com.
lionessvision.com. Go get this book. This book is beautiful and phenomenal. You need to read this book. Women, men, we need to start talking. Let's start talking about it. And if you have been in an abusive relationship or you were abused as a child, Unique is telling you today, you can live after that. There is hope for you. There is light on the end of the tunnel. You just have to take a leap of faith.
Yes.
And know that something good is waiting for you. And if somebody is going to love you, he's going to love the good, the bad, and the ugly. He's going to love you unconditionally. And if he doesn't want to love you, well, goodbye, Jack. Keep going.
Somebody else will.
Somebody else will come your way, and somebody else will love you. Remember, you are special and unique because you're beautifully and wonderfully made. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.